Fabulous. So we are recording right now. Welcome, everyone. We have an incredible session about create stories that engage, that sell, that inspire. Elliot is in a master at storytelling, and he has different structure that is going to walk you through. If you're not familiar with Elliot yet, he is well, one of my best friends on a personal level. GTeX, for those of you that don't know, will not probably exist without Elliot. He was one of our earliest mentor when we started getting GTeX off the ground, and when Ben and I were just like two kids where that didn't even know what to do. and Elliot was a huge part of this process of creating GTeX. Elliot runs a company called the Speakers Express, and now we're also business partners in that company, which focuses on getting speakers to get paid, to make an income, to make an impact. And personally, is definitely one of the best, if not the best, public speaking training that you can find out there. So that's why we decided to collaborate and support each other, because the way you communicate and the way we express ourselves, the stories that we tell, the webinars that we run, the way we deliver the content as well makes someone say, yes, I want to work with you or not. And that's why this skill is crucial. And that's why we have Elliot as a partner delivering that part. So Elliot, over to you.
Thank you, my man. Nutty, nice to see you. Claire and Sean and Joe, those are some of the faces I recognize. Judith, I recognize your photo as well. And for everybody I haven't met yet, hello, lovely to see you. So I'm going to get down to the next hour, and my aim is to give you as much value as possible. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to first of all cover the 5 stories that every entrepreneur should be able to tell, any business owner, or generally you should be able to tell. Then I'm going to give you 6 structures that you should learn to tell them by, because if there's one thing right now, if you want to stand out in a very noisy industry, which pretty much every industry is noisy, and that, no, why don't you type what you do? So just put your name and what you do in the chat. Obviously, Natty, I know what she does. I know what Claire does. But for the others as well, I know what Joe does and Sean. But still, put it in the chat. If you want to stand out and be more giraffe, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, the name of my new 5th book, it's storytelling, people. And Helen, I recognize your name as well. We've crossed paths, haven't we? Somehow we have. Anyway, obviously, Juan and Carlos, or whatever. You're Carlos on my emails. You're Juan here. I recognize you because you're coming on Friday. It's storytelling, right? And what I want to do is, I want you to understand is the more you are, the more you need to be more giraffe is through the stories. I came up with this great saying yesterday on Clubhouse. People can rip away your content, they can rip away what you say, but they can never rip away your story and vulnerability, right? And that's one way to stand out. Please remember that. So I know you're going to get loads of information today, but I want to give you as much value as possible, and I'll have a read through that. Oh, there's Sapphire. Lovely to see you as well, Sapphire. You cannot share screen while the other participant is sharing. Who's sharing? Who's sharing? Am I sharing?
Yep, you can go now. I was sharing the music. I forgot to.
You see, we'll stop sharing music. We're not singing anymore. All right, here we go. So this is all about stories that sell, which I think is the most appropriate because you're doing the profile builder, right? Am I right? I'm right. Okay, good. Here we go. Play from current slide. Anyway, so we said hello and all that. We can skip that part as well. You've heard a little bit about Speaker Express. So listen, I always say this. This is the time to use your voice for good, to share your story, to impact industries and people for the better, right? We started very quickly in a stinky, dingy, smelly pub in Kentish Town with sticky floors and one bulb hanging from the ceiling. That's the top of the pub, by the way. We're in the basement. And I'm happy to say that the pub was closed down a few months later due to hygiene reasons. But beyond that we then graduated and started to do bigger establishments, bigger buildings, bigger places, and nicer and less stinkier places. Although sometimes you still end up doing stinky places. There's nothing you can do about that. I've been involved in Speaker Express since the beginning, literally since Anik, the co-founder, had an idea to run a monthly training company. And ever since then, I've been involved in growing it and turning it into what it is today. And now I run it by myself, and Nick has stepped back. She now lives in Australia and does a lot of surfing. And I am driving the UK forwards, as well as launching the global company, which will happen over the next 5 years with the work we're doing with Simone. We aim to launch various countries and have Speaker Express across the world. And I've involved about that. So who is this guy training? If you've never heard about me, co-founder of Speaker Express. I run the UK. I write for magazines. I've got 8,000 hours of delivering talks globally and virtually. I've written 5 books now, the 5th one coming out on the 7th of October, which I know Sean has grabbed a copy of already. Go, Sean. I mentor the Princess Trust. I also have a podcast called Voice for Good, and we're launching a brand new podcast this Thursday called the Public Speaking Expert Podcast with my friend Jose, and I'm an accredited virtual speaker. We've worked with a variety of industries, from people getting onto Dragon's Den to getting onto MasterChef, authors, investors, coaches, trainers, consultants, tech entrepreneurs, influencers. We work with a lot. We work with all kinds of hubs. We work with all kinds of corporates as well. And we love doing it. One thing I want you to take into mind. Okay, so today we're focusing on unique story, but there's 6 key let me breathe. There's 6 key components when we want to really be more giraffe with our speaking. Number 1 is your purpose, right? Your personal purpose and your purpose for your talk. Number 2 is your clear message, right? What is the right messaging to land on the audience to attract them to you, to want to buy from you, to want to carry on with you? You got to have a structure. If you ain't got a structure, forget it. You might as well be throwing onions at the audience. You've got to use the right language, the language that lands. You've got to deliver an impactful way, and you've got to have unique stories, that should really say, or story that really allows people to be enrolled into you, your product, your brand, your service. I'm very happy to share these slides, by the way. Simone, if you want me, I can email them across to you. You can share, or you can take pictures. If you are going to put them in Instagram, please, at Standout Academy, #BeMoreGiraffe. There we go. So what is your greatest challenge when it comes to speaking? And then we're going to get into the structures. So we've got Joe, I know what you're doing. Claire, I know you. Registered clinical health prayer gate. Oh, you do hypnotherapy, Juan. Good. Poet, writer, budding coach. Marketing strategy. TEDx ambassador. Cool, Nikki. A woman of my own heart. I want to be known as the guy. The guy. Oh, sorry. My bad. Angel Finance Property. Hey, Angel. Nice to see you again. Hey, we were supposed to connect. Let's connect. Helen's name. Ah, I love that. Oh, I've got a little girl. Oh, that makes me very happy to read that. Maverick Leadership. I love that. Natty Chocolati. Yeah, psychic healer and spiritual healer. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's look at some. Oh, gosh. Courage. Purpose. Oh, I love it. Good, very good. I think my challenge is knowing what stories to tell when. Okay, let's go through that. Teach people how to climb the property investment ladder. Woo. Okay, cool. Let's get going then. Keep those challenges coming, because I want to know and make sure I can answer as many questions as I possibly can, or help you do this. So I'm going to jump out this bit, okay? I want to get down to this part. So here's what I want you to understand. If we look at some of the leaders in the industries, right? Good. If we look at, we've got Martin Luther King there, we've got Warren Buffett, we've got Sheryl Sandberg, we've got Steve Jobs. If you look at what they all have in common, besides having a great purpose, besides having a big why, they were all incredible, and still are, for those who are alive, storytellers, right? Martin Luther King, besides rallying up a movement and completely transforming civil rights, he was an incredible storyteller. Steve Jobs, one of the best storytellers you'll ever come across when it comes to corporate launches. Show me another company or another person that could sell a product that no one could understand yet would sell out on launch. Show me another company that's been able to do that. I don't know another company that's been able, since Apple. And he did that through the power of storytelling, right? Warren Buffett to today has one certificate on his wall, and that's a certificate from the Dale Carnegie Institute. And that he attributes everything that he's able to do, of course not his investing, but in terms of raising investment, speaking confidence, to public speaking. And Sheryl Sandberg is an incredible storyteller, which she now uses to encourage women to lead in the boardroom, right? It's essential. So if you want to hit your jackpot, which is what we'd love to support you with, of course, become a great storyteller. If you want to stand up, be more giraffe, become a great storyteller. Because if you don't, then you won't maximize your potential when you're using speaking. You could speak in front of the right audience, but if you're not a great speaker, it's a waste of time, right? It harms your reputation. But you could be a great speaker and speak in front of the wrong audience, then no one notices, right? So that's what we want to do. We want to help you hit the jackpot. And we do that through the speakers method. And that's something I'm not going to go into today, but today we're going to look at storytelling. Just be aware that 70% of people attribute the growth of their businesses, the success of their careers, to public speaking. 20% would say they would do anything not to present. 10% don't even make it onto the survey. But the reality is, if you're not on stage, if you're not on stage building your profile, telling your story, someone else is. And that's just reality, right? It's like anything. So how do we stand out? I hear you going, Elliot, I want to know how I stand out. How can I be more giraffe? There she is. There's the original giraffe that started it all. It's Gigi the giraffe, right? There's 5 key stories you need to be able to tell. Now, can you have one story that tells them all? You can, but the idea is to grow your toolkit of storytelling. And I'm going to go through each one of them. So number 1 is your credibility story. Number 2 is your personal story. Number 3 is your business idea or origin of your business concept. Number 4 is case study stroke, success stories. And number 5 is your vision, right? Sorry, for those of you who are still looking. Vision. So let's go through them one to one. Credibility, when I do my signature talk training, and I do a lot of them, and I work with a variety of industries, a lot of times people I work with will use their credibility story as one of the ways that they earn the right to speak, but also a lot of them use it as their story. Now, the credibility story isn't your personal story. It's literally the journey of how you became the expert, how you became the authority in your space. So it's, when I was at university, I studied X, and then I realized I had a passion for B. So I then embarked in studying B and then realized, oh, do you know what? I'm actually really interested in Z. So I jumped around a little bit and did a bit of a zing around, only to circle back and learn that I'd spent 10 years not doing something that I love, which afterwards I decided to invest heavily in hypnotherapy and now became a clinical hypnotherapist. That's an example. Obviously, you'd go a bit more deeper depending on how long you've got, and you would layer it more. But that's what a credibility story sounds like. It's not. A lot of people think it's their personal story. It's not. It's literally the stacking up through story of your expertise and your credibility to be doing what you're doing today, right? And a great example of that is a guy called Pat O'Reilly. So if you hear him speak, a lot of times you do not hear anything about him personally. You just learn how he landed and set off Impossible Foods. Now, Impossible Foods is the burger that looks like a burger, bleeds like a burger, tastes like a burger, but isn't meat. And I think most of you have heard that concept. They're a $4.8 billion company, right? They're in like 18 Burger Kings, and they're being sued for using the word burger. Not the point right now. When you hear him speak about all this, you get a beautiful narration of his credibility and his expertise. The whole story, he unwraps it beautifully. So watch some videos of him telling his story and you just learn about his credibility. Next one, personal story. Most of you are going to use your personal story because of what you do, right? Obstacle, your why, how did you end up where you ended up, why are you doing what you're doing, etc., etc. That is a key component for a lot of you, right? Oh, there you go. A friend of mine is bringing Impossible Foods to Europe. There you go. Right? Now, again, let me just be very clear. A lot of us will use personal stories. Now, we only ever use a personal story to empower and demonstrate that we get the audience's problem and that we have the solution. Too many people use a personal story because they think that's the right thing to do, and actually they end up with audiences feeling sorry for them and not buying from them. Anyone seen a speaker like that? Or anyone done that themselves by mistake while they're learning? Thank you, Helen. I could see your hand go up. We were interviewing an incredible speaker yesterday from the US for the new podcast, and he talked about it. You know, he was suicidal, and then he kind of had that epiphany moment, and obviously he didn't kill himself because we're interviewing him, so that's a good thing. But he talked about how he used it to, he now obviously speaks globally. He's a great speaker, and actually we're going to be represented by the same agent in America. And he talked about how he used to finish his talks like this, or like, guys, you can have a great life. You can truly live your dreams. And he's all hunched over, fizzed. And he said people coming up to him and they were hugging him, going, we're there for you. We love you. You're okay. You can do this. And actually, sorry, Nikki, by the way, when I referred to you as a she, I didn't realize you're a she because I hadn't seen your picture yet. So I do apologize before from reading out. I get you're a guy. And he then, said that that's not the point of his talk, right? His point was to empower. And so he would now finish his chest open. I mean, he's a big guy. He's a former NFL player that got injured. So it's not like he's a tiny person. Chest open, everything like that. And then it has a completely different effect. So we tell our personal story to demonstrate that we get the problem, we got the solution, and we're the people to help deliver that. Never to elicit sympathy. If you want to elicit sympathy, it's the wrong thing to do, and you'll attract the wrong clients that just drain you energetically, right? So let's be aware of that. Great example of someone's personal story, whether we like her or not right now, whether we find her controversial. We used to love her, J.K. Rowling. A lot of us still do, because of her personal story, her overcoming so many obstacles to reach where she's reached, the height that she reached. And is still an incredible woman. Whether you like her opinions or not is another matter. I'm not going to go into that right now. But again, a lot of us relate to that, being told you're never going to make it, to be broke, you don't have imagination, give it up, blah, 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 blah. To at one point being a billionaire and then giving it up because she gave so much money to charity, right? So that she's a great example of that. The next story I want to go through is your business idea origin, right? And that, for a lot of you, is literally how you started the business. It's like the personal story for your business without your personal story. So this guy, Julian, for example, we worked with him a couple of years ago now. He runs a tech company called How Am I Going? And he's Australian, and it sounds much cooler when he says it because it kind of works better. But when I say it, doesn't. And what happened with Julian is he was raising finance. And he came to us, he's like, I'm kind of struggling a little bit. I'm like, why are you struggling? He's like, well, no one's investing. Well, why is no one investing? Well, I do my normal pitching and no one's buying. I'm like, okay, take me through your pitch. And he did. He took me through your pitch. I'm like, Julian, you might be a good looking, suave hunk of a man, but man, you're coming across really boring right now. Where's your personality? Right? And he's like, well, how do I pull it out? That's why I'm here. I'm like, great. I'm glad you're here. So what we did with him is we worked on his business origin idea. So he used to work for Goldman Sachs, and he used to pitch and get pitched at. And then one day he got called in for the 6-month review that every employee has. And suddenly he's being told how terrible he is, how bad he's doing, and how off target he is. Does anyone relate to that in the employee being an employee day? Where suddenly out of nowhere, they're like, wait a minute, you're on the verge of being fired. And you're like, where did this come from? I haven't been told anything. I haven't been warned. No one's notified me. Give me a thumbs up if you kind of had this kind of situation in the past. Anyone? Only Helen's the only one putting thumbs. Oh, I see someone else. Right, a few of you putting thumbs up. Yep, I'm seeing some virtual thumbs up. Virtual thumbs up are allowed as well, by the way. So, and he went, you know what? F this. I am out. And so he went traveling, and he realized. So business origin idea. He goes, there's got to be a more empowering way for me, for us, for organizations to deliver feedback and do these reviews in a way that empowers the employee to be better. So this is him. So I set off and I designed this beautiful software. And in the software is integrated not only beautiful way to collect feedback, but also what the software does, it then spits out solutions of the courses they can attend, the books they can read, So he tells this beautiful story, and then he goes, oh, and if you want to invest and get involved, then I'm open for investment right now. And then at the time, he raised almost £1 million, as you can see at the bottom, because he was telling his business origin story, not because he was going on and pitching, even though he was blatantly pitching. Can you see how that can work, right? So some of you will start on your personal story, and then that's how your business is born. That's perfectly okay. There's no right or wrong. But some of you, especially the people in the property space, I know, for example, that Sophia has an incredible personal story that's linked to why the business was launched. But she could take the business story on it in itself, and that becomes a story. There's always going to be a bit of personal to you because you're telling it and it's your business. But the point is to be able to separate them out. Yeah, so far so good. Give me a Y in the chat or a thumbs up that you're with me, you're listening. Yeah, Natty's going woo, woo, woo. I know you've come back from festivals and going crazy, so I see you're still in that vibe. I love it. Good stuff. Loads of, there's a question here. Yes, Patricia. Is that a question or you're just high-fiving me virtually?
Sorry, just high-five virtually. Sorry.
Okay. High-five back. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's keep going. So that's how you get started, all that kind of stuff when it comes to your personal message. Then we've got success stories, right? Or case studies. And here's the thing with success stories and case studies. What I want you to understand is when you're telling the story, and remember, the theme of today's stories that sell, and I'm going to give you some structures as well. Choose the success stories that your clients will relate to and they can see themselves as that client or that person. A lot of people just tell success stories. Oh yeah, Judith came to me and Judith was here. Da, da, da. Now, if Judith has no relation to what I'm selling, then it's it's like, oh, that's nice. Oh, well done, Judith, right? But if I'm going, you know what, Colleen came to me or came to Speaker Express and she was really struggling with her sales. So we showed her really great structure and we worked on her language that really made sure it landed on her correct audience. Therefore, people stood up to buy when she finished the talk. And now Colleen's made £50 million as a result of it, right? Obviously, tell true figures if you're going to use figures. Then people who go, I'm like Colleen, will go, oh, I could work with them. And then I might go, oh, you know what? Nikki came to me and he da-da-da-da-da, and this is where Nikki was, and this is what we did, and now Nikki's here. And we go, oh my God, yeah, I'm a bit like Nikki. So just make sure when you choose your success stories, you're always telling the ones, you're basically calling out the people in the audience you want to work with. And when we taught this to Ash, this is why Ash is there, that's when his business changed because he's a business consultant. And how do you differentiate business consultants? Of course, your methodology will be one, right? Your profile be another. So books, where you're published, the kind of stuff that following. But of course, your success stories. So when he does talks now, he'll call out the success stories in the audience of the ones that relate to him. And then, of course, when he calls out success stories, the bookers I want him to be telling that story on my stage, then he gets booked to tell his stories on stage as well, because that's how he gets paid, right? That's where people misuse success stories. It's always to call out the people you want to work with. So that's the fourth story I want to talk about. And the last one is your vision. And I'll tell you why your vision is really important. I was working with this guy called Edward. He ran 3 businesses, all in 4.5 million turnover. Clever, intelligent, slightly intimidating. Some of you probably heard me tell this story before. Did a session with him. I was a bit scared. Anyone have you ever walked into a client and you're just a little bit scared of them? Because they're like really, really clever and you're like, I'm not quite that clever, but I know I'm not stupid, but I'm just not as clever as them. Right? That was me. And I'm not putting myself down. I'm just kind of aware of my cleverness. I mean, I don't know about you, but I know I'm clever, but not that clever. And anyway, I walked in and he's like this tall, and I'm like, gosh, this guy makes more in I don't know, a year than a lot of us do, right? 3 businesses, all 4.5 million turnover. And he's like, Elliot, I'm really struggling with selling. I'm like, why? He goes, I don't know. I've been doing this for years and I've been selling for years and I'm really struggling right now. I'm like, okay. And he got recommended by his sister who co-runs one of the companies as well. And we started to talk about his pitch. I'm like, give me your pitch. And again, very similarly to Julian, I was like, you're really boring, Edward. Like, honestly, why are you so boring? And he was like, what do you mean I'm boring? And this is, I knew the tables had turned. You might be clever, but I know what I'm doing, right? And he's like, what do you mean I'm boring? I'm like, listen, you sound like a data-tician. All you're saying is data, data, data. What is your purpose? And then he went, Well, actually, the purpose is we're a B Corp company, and all our profits, or most of our profits, are going to go into healing the ocean. And I have a vision that the recruitment industry is going to be unified. It's going to choose people not based on tick box, color, gender, race. That people are based on skill. And and I was like, oh, there you are. Hello, you're alive, right? And then when he took that into his talks after that, again, things really transformed, and the types of clients he attracted and the investment he attracted, because there was a life beyond I'm just doing this. There was a bigger picture play. So again, for some of you, it might not be the right thing to do. For a lot of you, I know, for example, again, I know Safar because we've spoken, her vision for women and what she wants to do is integral part of what she is and her makeup and her DNA, right? So tell your vision story. What's your vision for the industry, for the people you work with, for humanity? You know, Elon Musk walks around telling us that he needs to save the human race. How's that for a vision? How's that for a purpose and a mission? That's why he operates on a completely different sphere to us, because he doesn't want to help one or a community or he wants the whole human race. That's tough, man. I mean, I admire him for that. So, 5 key stories. So far, so good, people? You with me? You understanding how to use stories now to sell, to raise your profile, to get yourself out there? Good. Credibility, personal story, business ideas, success stories, all case studies, and vision. Should we go into structures for a little bit?
Yeah, I actually want to make a comment before we go into the structures, because naturally, from experience, I found out that there are some types of stories that you might be used to say more than others, and some others that it becomes a stretch for you to say it, whether it's the personal stories, whether it's your credibility, because you don't like, you don't feel that you want to boast about yourself. Personal stories, sometimes you just don't want people to get to know you at that level. The vision, for me, for example, one of the, I have no problem sharing success stories. I have no problem sharing the business idea. Personal stories, I'm getting there. It's still like a conscious effort, because I'm just saying, just get on with it. Why don't you guys know? But it is a really important one that I'm working on. And also another one that I'm working on at the moment is the vision, because I often don't share the vision. I'm a great strategist. So if you give me a vision and you need a strategy to get to that vision, boom, 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 that's a piece of cake. But even to share the vision of GTeX, I don't think that many of you know if I say what's the vision of GTeX, because, and even if you're a client and you're involved with GTeX members, because I've not told about it. I've not shared it. And that's something I'm working on. So I want to ask you, for everyone here, what do you think is the number one story that you will need to focus on that could take your speaking to the next level? And when we're talking about stories, a story can also go on social media, can also go in written format. So the story is the story. You can use it in different formats. So for me, my stretch is actually committing more to share the vision. That's my stretch. What's for you, from everyone? Pick one of the stories here that is the one that represent the biggest stretch for you in terms of sharing. Put it in the chat.
Because I know a lot of you will default to your personal story. Most of you will. So
I know actually a lot of people will, as Adam mentioned, credibility. Credibility, I know, is because people say, "Oh, what a." I don't know. I don't feel comfortable talking about saying to people how great I am. From bringing to the broadness of XO1 down to 2 sentences and comprehensive explanation for Nikki. But which one of those stories? So is that the business and the business idea origin for you, Nikki?
vision story, yeah.
We have success story from Rushi, vision from Joe, the vision story from Claire, Sean, the business idea. What else?
Separating, Nati saying separating origin from personal, creating business origin idea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, keep them coming. So Elliot, Judith said credibility and vision. All right, Elliot, back to you.
Cool. And Sean, you asked the question. Let me just go back to that question. So you would pick one way of presenting your story at an event, as in one structure, or what's your? Do you want to unmute yourself and ask the question?
Yeah, on your ladder here.
Yep.
If I was doing an event, and let's say I only had a very short amount of time, like 5 minutes max, to do my story, would I just pick one of them? I'd go
Yes,
for the vision
definitely.
That day, or right, okay.
Yeah, I'd pick the one that will have the greatest impact. Absolutely. Yeah, and all of these will help build your profile, by the way, sharing all of them. But in a short space of time, the one you're the most comfortable telling that has the biggest impact and will draw in the best attention. Cool. Good job.
Awesome. Yep. Back to you, Elliot.
All right, cool. Let's do this. So I can see you're getting your head around this. So I just want to very quickly tell you about my new book and a couple of things that you could do beyond this. So first of all, if you do want to order the book, you can go to bemoregiraffe.me. And if you do order it through us, not only will I personally sign it for you, but also you get a whole bunch of bonuses, including GTeX with Maria Franzoni. There's a whole bunch of stuff, access to a whole bunch of things. I think I've listed some of them, but you do get that. That's all included. It's $7.99 on the website, including postage and packaging. But what I've done is I've taken the book, and it's a very different approach. It's basically a design book full of quotes, structures, and tips and techniques. You'll read it, honestly, in 20 minutes max. There's one chapter, and the rest are like quotes and structures and various techniques. So if you'd love a copy of that, just go to bemoregiraffe. I'll put that in the chat anyway, .me, and you can grab a copy, including the bonuses. And you can join us at the virtual launch on the 7th October at 7 p.m. where Simone will be there and Maria Franzoni will be speaking as well. And Lavelda's going to be emceeing. So we're going to have an online party. So do register again. I'll give you the link to that as well. I'd love you to.
I put it already in the chat.
Wow, you are
well. So bemoregiraffe.me. As Elliot mentioned, this is an incredible book, in particular because it's short, it's snappy, and it tells what like.
In fact, if I take myself off camera.
Great and great principles there to grow your speaking business, and in particular to stand out from the crowd. So make sure you get it through the page, and also is a way to give back to Elliot. He's here delivering this training, give up his time. So if you can get the book as well as share it, you have the link and say,
yeah, there's all kind of competitions going on. So
that's something that would definitely help. All right, Elliot,
I'll do a very quick one of these. Sean, you should got an email with all the bonuses and everything. Check your inbox if you haven't. I even emailed it again yesterday just in case people hadn't got it. And let me just turn this off, and then you will see our guest room stroke. But I'll quickly show you what I mean. So it looks like this. And then inside, you got all these kind of quotes. And it's all like, that's my daughter. We've got a coloring in page. My daughter's already done it. She couldn't believe it when her daddy had a coloring in page in their book. Can't quite. Yeah, so it looks like that. It's very easy, very simple to read. So grab a copy if you want. If you don't, that's okay too. You'll just never succeed. That's all I'm going to say about that. Yes, and then there's the virtual launch as well. And of course, if anyone ever wants to just book a call in with me to talk about something else, please do. I'm more than happy to guide you in any way I possibly can. That's all I really want to say. Let's get back to that. All right, share screen. There we go. So if you want to join the party, or you can join the party, that's on the 7th. And there we go, I believe. Let me just do that. Here you go. It's all there. Book a call in with me if you want to. There's the virtual launch, and Be More Giraffe. Simone's already posted as well. Yeah. It can't be delivered. It can't. For those of you who aren't in the UK, if you go to Amazon, you can buy off Amazon. Send me that you've bought it, and I'll add you to the list, and you'll get the bonuses. I did mean to say that. So it's just stand out as a speaker. Yeah, woohoo, that was quick. Stand out as a speaker and Be More Giraffe on Amazon, and then just email me that you've done it, and I'll add you and get you the bonuses as well. How's that for the deal? That's a good deal, I'd say. Speaker Express. And as you're part of GTeX, I'm just going to trust you've done it. All right, people? I'm not going to Show me the proof. Don't do this, right? Cool. Let's do this. Let's finish this off. So there's 6 structures I want to share with you. Again, take it, assimilate it. You know, some of them you know really well, some of you learn. Test them out. This is all part of your journey. Today's just like, here's what you could do, and take them forward from here onwards, right? So first one, you've all heard about this is the hero's journey. If you watch any Hollywood movie, it's pretty much based on the hero's journey. It's Joseph Campbell, right? And the point behind that is taking the audience on a journey, tapping into emotion, showing the benefits of taking risks, really embracing a new way of being. Lots of aha moments. And, you know, you show those inner conflicts when Luke has to decide whether he has to kill his father or not, and all these things going on. I hope you know what I mean when I say Luke Skywalker, Star Wars. Is there anyone that didn't get that reference? It's going, Luke who? Luke what? Look, if you don't know, shame on you. No, I'm joking. Right? And of course, there's always a demonstration on how you've learned something new, you've evolved, you've become more. Now, there are simplified versions of Joseph Campbell's Hero's Journey because it is quite a complicated book. So there are the diluted versions. I suggest you look for those ones. The second one is known as the mountain. And the thing is with the mountain, it's to lead people to a conclusion. It's not about happy ending. Okay? That's the emotional drop. We'll talk about that in a minute. Mountain is when you stack things. You might be telling me about a bunch of events that happened in your life and how you overcame them. And then you might tell me what you did about it. And then you reach a powerful conclusion, i.e., I knew I had to leave him. I had to get a divorce. I had to close the business down. I had to change, right? The mountain structure is not designed to lead to happy ending, but it's designed to provoke thought, right? So the first thing is showing how you overcame a series of challenges, right? The second one, of course, is you slowly build the tension. When you use the right tonality, the right pacing, you're also drilling down the pain of what you overcome as well. And then you deliver a powerful conclusion. It could be a powerful, a good conclusion, but it's not like I lived happily ever after. That's a different structure. It's more like I reached a critical point in my life and something needed to change kind of conclusion. And then you lead us off that as well. Next one, a lot of you people naturally use this, right? And that's the back then, now, future. So back then when I this is what was going on in my life. This is Now this is what I focus on. So this is a great one for people that want to use vision. And in the future, and my vision is, I had a dream. Now my vision is this big, bold vision. The point of that, again, is it's good for taking the audience back to where you started, slowly building tension. You want to move the audience with you through your journey. You want to get the audience to buy into your results, hence a great one for vision as well, and where you're going with things. Emotional drop. For anyone who's done a signature talk training with me, this was basically the emotional drop. When you set the scene, it was a beautiful day. Everything was great. My life was amazing. Oh my God, the sky was blue. Everyone was waving hello at me, and then something horrible went wrong in my life. And you drop us, right? And you drop us deep, and then you take us in that. You give us your pain, your conflict, what you went through. You kind of drag us along the rock bottom with you. And then you have your big aha moment. And and then I realized things had to change and I had to become a better person. I had to do things differently. And then you build from there, right? And then you tell us how you started to come out of it. And then it ends with, and today, X, Y, Z. Everyone with me so far with the structures? Yeah. I'm getting lots of, is that cool? Yeah, that's cool. Give me virtual thumbs up for those of you who are hiding behind cameras, eating lunches and doing exciting things like that. I see you all. Yeah, good. I'm getting some virtual thumbs up as well. Good. All right. Now the fifth one. Oh, there we go. It's just a bit of an explanation. Setting the scene for conflict, dropping the audience emotionally, enrolling the audience emotionally into you, and then always offering hope and solution in the end. And today I do this. Then we got the car chase, which is when you literally drop us in a moment. Boom, right? You literally there I was standing on a cliff in Australia. The wind was in my hair. I was looking down. The sea was splashing up. I had a seagull laughing in my face. And I just realized that everything that I'd fought for in my life had gone wrong. right? You see this again in movies. You know the movies that literally start, like, what's going on? Oh my God, how did I end up there? Well, who's chasing who? I don't understand it. Are they the criminals or are they the good people? Yeah, it's kind of that, but not as hectic as I just demonstrated. So the idea is you take us in the middle of something, and then you can either rewind back or you can move forward. It really depends how you want to go and how creative you want to be with that. The whole idea behind using the car chase is you want to disrupt the audience. It's like, let's say you're in the middle of teaching some content and you want to disrupt them. Boom, you start with a car chase. You want to disrupt their mindset. You want to grab them emotionally. Well, oh my God, he was on a cliff. What was he doing on a cliff? Was he suicidal? Was he not suicidal? Was he going to jump? Was he not going to jump? Right? And that's a real story. I actually tell that story. Gripping the audience, right? Yeah. And again, always giving us hope. Always giving us hope and solutions. And the last one is petal. And this is where you might need to get a little bit more experienced storytelling. But what you do is you take 4 to 6 questions, 4 to 6 stories that appear non-related, and then they get unified by a core message in the middle, you see. So you're going, let me tell you about how I supported GTeX grow. And then I suddenly talk about accounting software. And then I suddenly talk about how I don't know, live in Devon and I go running at the hills of Devon every weekend for 20 kilometers. And then I talk about, and you're like, what? I don't quite get it. And then I go, but what if I told you that GTeX is software running in Devon, and the other story I told you are all to do with perseverance, resilience? What if I told you they're all to do with coming together, testing, being agile, learning as you go along, committing? So it has a unified messaging in the middle of it. Do you see what I mean? And that's the great thing. So you're dropping lots of little stories that appear unrelated, and then suddenly, woof, you bring it together. Or you can go, here's my message, and then 6 stories that emphasize it. That's the other way you can look at a petal. Got it? Yeah? You guys are doing great, because normally I do this as a masterclass and I do it in 3 hours. You guys are getting like 45 minutes. So you guys are like rocking it. Awesome sauce. Yeah. So again, you can, for those of you NLPers in the house, for those of you neurolinguistic programming, you can use it as open loops if you wanted. So you start a story and you don't quite finish it, and then you start another story, you don't quite finish it, and then the messaging closes the loop. Does everyone understand that concept? So you can use it like that as well. So it's quite a clever one to use, the petal, but it is a little bit advanced, because if it's not done correct, it's quite clunky. And then what you can do is, if one story doesn't match, then you create a cognitive jolt, and then they're going, well, I don't get why Helen told that story. And then they're sitting there going, why did Helen tell me that story about being more giraffe when it's got nothing to do with anything? And then people just get really annoyed at that. Like, you wasted their time by telling an irrelevant story, right? So just remember, people, you're going to get judged anyway. So you better be judged for being the best version of yourself, showing up, being the best you, and doing the best job you could possibly do every time you put yourself out there. Simone, over to you, my man. That is it. Those are stories that sell, with the structures to sell them by. Any questions?
Yeah. Well, first of all, can we give Elliot a massive round of whoop whoops? That's actually, like, unmute yourself. Unmute yourself and just give Elliot about whoop 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 whoop. Whoop.
That was like 2 people. You guys are slacking.
Right, back on mute, everyone, back on mute. It has been definitely an incredible training around the stories and the way to tell them. And I'm sure that you might have some questions now. So we got about 10 minutes before we wrap up. What question do you have for Elliot? Can be regarding the types of stories, can be about the different methodologies of delivering them. Let me see. You can either raise your hand, you can raise your virtual hand. Well, we have a physical hand raise, which is B, as to start. If you can raise your virtual hand on Zoom is better. So then we know exactly like Patricia and Nati did. So we know the order, but we will start with V, and then we'll go with Patricia and then with Nati. So V, over to you.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Elliot.
Hey.
Just a brief question. In the 5 key story types, would you say that there are occasions where you would maybe have a part of each or more than one to actually construct your full story?
Yeah, look, do people use bits of all five? Yeah, of course. What I'd really love to push you to do as part of your profile raising ability, as well as someone that's likely to use speaking, is to have a bank of stories in each. But you know what, like, Sean asked, if you've got a short space of time, then you might just pick little components, because that will create the most effect and the most impact. So absolutely. But when you're doing your 45 or 90-minute talks, then I would suggest you have a bank on each that you can pull out according to the talk and the audience.
Brilliant. Thank you.
My
Excellent.
pleasure.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much, V. And I will ask actually every question to be like V asked, because we have, and I'm not be able to take more, but we have three more. We have Patricia, Ruchi, and Nati. So quick questions, because we don't have too much time. So Patricia, over to you.
Actually, hello everyone. Actually, I have a quick question. So, was mentioned that it's not good to combine personal story with the business. So it's better to do separate. I understand that. But my story is a personal, but on the end, I explain how I find my purpose. And it's on one sentence that I become a professional coach, business mentor. Is it that's okay to say, this is just one sentence, it's actually story not exactly about my business, but I need to say what exactly the purpose I found it. Is it that's okay to say this on the end?
Yeah,
or actually, because it's related a little bit to business side, so that's why.
Yeah, listen, if you you can have both business and personal story, of course. I'm not saying it's wrong. What I would like, or what I'd suggest, is you have a story in each, or many stories in each column. Whatever works for you, Patricia, what's most authentic to you is what's really important. So if, of course you can finish your personal story and then it ends with, and I built my business, or I found my purpose. Absolutely. What I'm giving you here is hopefully tools to help magnify. There's no right or wrong to use them. I don't want you to ever think that there's a right or wrong way with what I just explained. Only what helps magnify your greatness. And that's really what I want you to take away more than anything from today, versus, oh, Elliot said you can't cross swords, It's not quite, this isn't Ghostbusters. We're okay, right? If you cross stories, it's not the end of the world.
Okay,
right?
that's
so
fine.
Please go ahead and do it. Yeah.
This is just one sentence, but
yeah,
I need
no.
to explain. Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All
Cool.
right, that's brilliant. Thank you, Patricia. Next up, we have Ruchi. Ruchi, over to you.
Hey.
Hi, Elliot. Thank you. And it was such a pleasure to meet you for the first time. And it was amazing to hear the 5 stories and the 6 structures. My question to you is that, is there a specific way how you choose the story and when to use this kind of a format for this kind of a purpose?
Yeah, good question. So I think depends who you're speaking in front of, right? Is what I would cater my stories accordingly. So if I know that there's a more academic, let's say, educated audience, not to say the educated people I speak in front of aren't educated, but when they're more academically inclined, I would drive more of my credibility story. I would choose the success stories according to people that they relate to more. And then I would use bits of my personal story that are more relatable to them. Or I'd use more of my business story. So right now, really, I don't use my personal story a lot when I speak because it's not relevant. People don't need to know about my alcoholic father and my sexual abuse and all these, me going bankrupt and rebuilding, because it's not relevant, right? When it's relevant. So that's why you're scoping questions when you're being booked, as in finding out who the audience is, what works for them. When you're getting booked and you're speaking to organizers, these questions are so important. So then it's about making sure that your content lands in the best way. So that's why you would choose the story according to that. If it's more entrepreneurial and, like you guys, very entrepreneurial, running your own businesses, then I would choose stories and success stories that people relate to more. So there's no point in me going, when I work with Talk and I took their retention state from 30% to 70%, you guys are like, well, it's irrelevant to you. But when I talk about working with someone like Edward or someone like, Julian, you can relate to that, right? Maybe some of you can relate to the talk part, but you don't want to know about retention stats. But when I go into corporates, that works for them. Does that help? Yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it does. Thank you so much.
There we go. And I believe we have...
Brilliant. We have one more question from Nati. Nati, over to you.
Nati.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for that training. It was awesome. Getting my brain back in gear after the summer. I just have a really short random question. The petal thing.
Yes.
Sounds amazing. And I have so many stories that all have the same message. Do you have a recommended talk or speaker who does this that I could sort of watch as an example?
That's a great question. Off the top of my head, no. Let me do some research. But what I would suggest you do, TED Talks use petal a lot because they kind of go stories.
No, well, I was thinking...
I've watched a lot of them, but I've never dissected it. But now I'll watch it with a different brain.
Yes.
I was thinking, the one of, I'm not sure though, just the name of Ken Robinson. They were the TED Talks on education, but I don't know if he follows that kind of structure.
That's not really a petal. I know the one you mean. That's a very good talk. Obviously, it's one of the most popular in TED history. I'm not sure he uses petal, but I'll have a look at that with a petal eye on and then see. But I'll have a look for you, Natty. I'll sit down and have a real thing. But Claire said, rightly so, comedians use petal a lot because they bring it all together. So they'll set it up, and then they hit you at the end with it.
I love making people laugh, so maybe I'll just watch a bunch of comedians.
Watch Kevin Hart, even. Kevin Hart.
I was thinking about the same. He uses it a lot.
Yeah.
He uses petal a lot.
Yeah.
He's
a legend. If anyone can get him on my podcast, I will love you forever. I'm
did
working on David
calisthenics with him.
Goggins right now. Huh?
I did calisthenics with him in LA when I lived there. He
There
came
you
up.
go.
He came up and learned how to do a muscle up with the guys.
There you go.
Thank you, Elliot. Thank you.
There you go. Michael McIntyre, Dave Chappelle is a good one.
Yep. Yeah.
Don't know.
All right. So
awesome.
it is time to wrap up. Again, Elliot, if you can put the links for the book, make sure you get the book. We're gearing up to the book launch. It will be great to see you there as well on the 7th of October for the book launch. It's going to be a really inspiring virtual experience that we're giving you. I will be there. My wife will be there as well, hosting it. And so we cannot wait as well to have you as a moment of celebration. Now, Elliot has been and is a big part of GTeX and the GTeX story, and the work that we are doing around standing out from the crowd, and in particular building your profile. In this case, is Be More Giraffe, which is about being different and being known for like the uniqueness that you are and what you have. Then that's where the missions of the two companies they are combined. And so I'm sure that you will love also meeting some of the Speakers Express members. Speakers Express members will love meeting you as well. Is a great way to as well build your network. So looking forward to seeing you at the book launch. Shan, we were talking with Shan to give you a little challenge if you're open to it. Shan, over to you. You know that we can't leave a training without giving you something actionable, right? So Shan, over to you.
You know all the ladders and the different types of talk, and how Elliot's talking about having a bank of talks, right? So would you be up for a challenge of picking one of them and doing a 3 to 5 minute maximum talk, record yourself and post it in the group so we can all learn and share off each other? Give me a yes in the chat to let me know who's up for that.
Yeah, exactly. So we've got to pick a type of talk, and so a type of story. So you choose one type of story and one type and one way to deliver it, depending on the 5 stories and the 6 ways of delivering it. You pick one story and one way of delivering it, because one of the best things that you can do is to practice it. In particular, those stories that you might not use to share, that are a bit of a stretch for you. That's why we are here in a safe environment. We can all support each other and use that as a way to practice it and put it in one of your talks.
And I would also like to guess, when I see your talk, what ones you've picked. Like this petal one, the petal eye that Elliot was talking about. I'd love to like watch your talk in the group and say, oh, they've definitely used the vision and they've definitely used the mountain together in that talk, so that we can start to really identify what it's like. So we have got some, Natty's definitely in. Dawn wants to know what's the price, Simone.
Well, Elliot is going to pay a weekend, a luxury weekend for 15 people in a 5-star hotel. Isn't that right, Elliot?
Yeah, funded by GTeX.
Where we can all be more giraffe.
There you go. There you go.
So brilliant. Can everybody do that before the next call? It's 2 weeks.
Right. This is the price. This is the price. You do it to buy the book anyway, but the person who then we will identify someone who will tell the story, and we will cover the cost of the book. That's it. That sounds fair. There you go.
Yeah.
All right, but you gotta buy the book. Buy the book first.
The book's awesome. So I bought it already. So yeah, I look out for them in the next week. Let's just 7 days, because two weeks starts to get a bit long out there. What do you think, Ellie? You think 7 days is enough to make these videos?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Listen, if you
7 days.
had to, would you? Yes. If I said at the end of 7 days, one of the UK's top bureau's booking agents is going to watch every single one of them, would you get it done? The answer be yes. So the answer is yes. There we go.
Okay, 7 days, guys. 7 days.
Awesome. And we'll cover a cookie as well, followed by Nati's suggestion. Right, ladies, thank you very much. And gentlemen, thank you very much for being here today. It has been an incredible training. Another massive whoop whoop for Elliot. Thank you for being here with us. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for supporting the GTeX community.
My pleasure.
Thank you, Sean, for all the work that you're doing as a community manager. And as well, thank you, all of you, for being here, playing full out. I cannot wait to see all your videos. All right. You got 7 days max. And then we'll give you feedback. We'll look at the videos. So that's a great way to practice and putting in place of what you've learned today from Elliot's session. All right, it's time to wrap up. Thank you very much. Have a fantastic rest of the afternoon, everyone.
See you later. Bye. 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 Bye.